This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, coming at you with another installment of what you need to know. And today we're going to be talking about the Humboldt junior hockey team's tragic bus crash, but more specifically, the mentally ill social justice warrior response we're now seeing on Twitter. We're also going to take a look at a recent editorial from the CBC, which shows that 1/3 of Canadians do not believe that humans are the cause of climate change. And so what's their response to that? Well, that you're just dumb and ignorant and you can be fixed with their propaganda. And last but not least, we're going to take a look at a case involving Google, privacy rights, and some 9/11 truthers who are taking Google to court. Now that's a lawsuit that's worth getting behind. And for our first story for today, I want to start by wishing the families and the friends of the victims in that fatally tragic bus crash all the best. A GoFundMe campaign has been launched, and they've already raised a whopping $7.8 million in just 3 days. So I want to encourage Canadians to continue that phenomenal support. This is largely to an extent why Canadians are highly respected by the global community. But not everyone's being respectful. Check out this incredibly insensitive and morally reprehensible tweet coming from Twitter user Nora Loretto as her response to the money being raised due to this tragedy. She says, "I'm trying to not get cynical about what is a totally devastating tragedy, but the maleness, the youthfulness, and the whiteness of the victims are, of course, playing a significant role." Are you freaking kidding me? She wants equality through tragedy by bringing up gender and race? I mean, where in the world am I right now? Oh yeah, that's right, I'm in Canada, where our Prime Minister is a feminist, our schools have been infiltrated by Marxist ideology, social justice warriors have penetrated the political system, so I guess I can't really be all that surprised that pieces of trash like this are able to spew their idiotic beliefs all over Twitter. And it's not just Twitter. This leftard actually works for Maclean's and the Globe and Mail, where she's able to spew her rhetoric and propaganda into the impressionable minds of the Canadian people. As this Twitter user puts it, if at Globe and Mail and at Maclean's actually pay you to write articles for them, I'm canceling my subscriptions immediately and telling everyone I know to do the same. This is the most deplorable and inappropriate tweet I've seen here, and that's saying something. To which she then replied, "They have, and they have nothing to do with a tweet that isn't actually that controversial in context." You're back? Alright, good. Let's move on to story number 2. According to the CBC, an online poll by Abacus Data found that 30% of Canadians do not believe in the science of climate change, and 42% said the incoming carbon tax isn't designed to change behavior, but rather to generate revenue for the government. Finally, some Canadians are waking up to this scam and they're starting to question the motives of the government. So what does Canada's Ecofiscal Commissioner's Chair, Chris Ragan, have to say about that? Get a load of this.
I want to start with one particular finding in this poll that you commissioned, your organization commissioned, the one that says that nearly 1 in 3 Canadians aren't convinced climate change is man-made. What do you make of that?
Well, I guess it's not that surprising. I think most Canadians aren't climate scientists. I don't think they're spending a bunch of time reading the climate science. And I suppose policymakers that care about this issue need to do a better job in communicating the importance of that problem.
So according to him, you're just too stupid because you haven't done the proper research. And the government has failed you because they have failed to properly educate you on this issue. What an absolute total disrespect for the views of a whole third of Canadians who are simply not taking this as a black and white issue and who are rejecting the plan for a carbon tax, and rightly so. They offer absolutely zero evidence in this 7-minute piece to counter what Canadians are skeptical about, and instead they just insist that you're just scientifically uneducated. Yeah, well, as someone who's been studying this and looking at the data for over a decade, I can emphatically and conclusively say that man-made climate change is a crock of BS. One can just look at the Climate Research Unit, or the CRU, and the hacked emails that came out of the University of East Anglia back in 2009, where they fudged the numbers in order to trick you into going along with your own enslavement. If you're actually interested in learning more about this issue, you can use the search feature on my YouTube channel and just type in the word climate change, and you'll see the extensive coverage I've done on this over the years. And in particular, check out this interview I did with Lord Christopher Monckton titled Climate Change and the New World Order. A link will be located in the description below. And last but not least, for our third and final story for today, according to the National Post, some 9/11 truthers have just entered into a legal battle with Google over privacy infringements. Canadian 9/11 conspiracy theorists sue Google over secret phone tracking. Among the knee-jerk results of the Facebook privacy scandal, after the stock started falling, but before the US Federal Trade Commission announced its investigation, was a rush of lawyers filing class action lawsuits. There are now about a dozen for Facebook users seeking payback for having their private information improperly obtained by a political consultancy hired by the Trump 2016 campaign. A similar legal dynamic has been playing out under far less public attention in two Canadian provincial courts as internet search giant Google defends against similarly scandalous claims of personal privacy violations, including a secret malicious program to track the physical locations of phones without users' knowledge. The plaintiffs in the massive class action claims against Google are two prominent 9/11 conspiracy theorists and a retired Toronto police detective. These two conspiracy theorists are both men who I know. Kip Warner is an artificial intelligence software engineer who once worked for Google. And the other is Graham McQueen, a retired professor of religious studies and the founding director of McMaster's Institute of Peace Studies, a man who I've interviewed a number of times at various events, as well as for my film Decade of Deception, which is a recut of our 6-hour-long DVD titled The Toronto Hearings on 9/11. The article goes on to say, the lawsuit is a response to Google's public admission of the tracking program last year, which is thought to have been discovered and leaked to the media by a competitor. The program was an experimental addition to the Android system's software for push notifications and messages. It allowed Google to track the physical location of any Android phone by having it send data to cell towers even when the phone's location tracking services had been switched off, and even when there was no activated cellular service. In those cases, the phones would send in their data whenever they connected to the internet by Wi-Fi. By connecting to multiple cellular towers, a phone's physical location can be triangulated. The next legal step is likely to be a hearing on whether the lawsuits should be certified as class actions. For that, the plaintiffs will need to show they have a real cause of action, an identifiable class with common issues, a representative plaintiff, and that a class action is the best method to sort it all out. And I must say, they definitely have a case here. As I've been saying for years, these devices are spying and tracking tools that are designed to follow your every move, and it doesn't matter if it's an Android or an iPhone. And putting it on airplane mode doesn't hide you either. Google is in the business of tracking, tracing, and databasing your every single move, both for the purposes of marketing and for control under this Big Brother Orwellian nightmare system. So I wish them all the best of luck, and I hope they get a big payout, because I know that they will take what was once incredibly dirty money and they'll put it towards something good, like 9/11 truth, something the world truly needs. That'll do it for today, my friends. Be sure to check the description for all the sources to this video, and also don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I want to give a huge shout out to anyone who has ever contributed to my efforts by either joining as a PFT member or a PFT patron, or by donating at pressfortruth.ca/donate. This channel is only made possible through your continued support. So thanks for watching, my friends. Share this video if you found the info to be useful, and stay tuned. We've got more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth.